Wow, this is quite the deep dive you've sent us on this time. Zen Benefiel, articles, websites, even glimpses into his Amazon author page. This guy has been busy. It seems like you want to get a sense of his career trajectory, what he's done, for how long, and maybe what it all means.
Yeah, what strikes me right away is the sheer length of his career. We're not talking about someone who's just bouncing around from one thing to the next. There are threads here
Right.
that go back decades, which suggests a real commitment to his ideas.
So where do we even begin with this? We've got mentions of a TV show, One World, which apparently ran originally, that took a 30-year break, and now it's back in some new form. And then we've got a master's in organizational management, teaching certificates. It's almost like he's lived several lives all in one.
Hmm. Let's tackle that TV show first. I think because it seems to bookend his career in a way. The
Right.
original One World ran for how long, according to these sources?
Let's see. Looks like it premiered in the early 90s and then went off the air in 94. So a relatively short run. But obviously it made some kind of impact if he's reviving it now as One World in a New World.
Interesting. And during that same period, he was teaching high school, which is interesting given his business background. We see the MBA here, but also a secondary teaching certificate.
Wait, hold on. A guy with an MBA was teaching teenagers. Was this like some elite private school situation or?
No, no mention of that. What we do have is this document he created. It's a whole school plan based on holistic education, which seems to be a big thing for him.
Okay, so we're seeing this blend of business and education already. But with a twist. It's not just about the profits or test scores. It's holistic. I'm guessing this ties into the One World philosophy somehow.
Yeah, it's too early to say for sure, but there's a definite thread there of wanting to develop the whole person, not just one aspect. And while he's teaching high school, he's also getting his master's in organizational management, which he wraps up in 93. So this is very active period for him.
Yeah, for sure. And then things get really interesting in the late 90s, early 2000s. He starts teaching business plan writing to women and minority-owned businesses, helping them secure microloans. It's like he's taking that organizational knowledge and applying it to empower those communities, like directly empowering them.
And you see that practical approach again with his work educating entrepreneurs on the nuts and bolts of business processes.
Yeah.
So this isn't just theory. He's out there in the trenches helping people build something real.
So by this point, he's been a teacher,
Yeah.
a TV host, a business consultant, and then he throws another curveball into the mix. He gets involved with the Independent Party of Arizona.
Yeah. And not just as a member. It seems like he was quite active in their efforts to make sense to find common ground between the two major parties.
Which honestly sounds like a pretty ambitious goal, especially in today's political climate.
It does suggest that he's not afraid to tackle complex issues.
Yeah.
And that this desire to connect people across divides, it's been with him for a while now, but amidst all this political and entrepreneurial work, guess what he's also doing?
Don't tell me he's writing a novel.
40 novels to be exact.
Yeah.
We have a list here from his Amazon author page, topics ranging from personal transformation to quantum thinking to, yes, even extraterrestrial encounters.
Okay, this is where my brain starts to melt a little bit. We've got this through line of education and empowerment, but also a fascination with the more, shall we say, unconventional side of things.
Right, and that's what makes unpacking his career so interesting. It's not a straight line. It's more like a spiral, I think.
Yeah.
With certain themes revisiting themselves over time, but at a deeper level each time.
So by the mid 2000s, he's got this incredibly diverse resume, a shelf full of books. Where does he even go from there?
Well, that's where the New World part of his story really kicks in. He brings back One World with this intriguing new focus, and he also founds this nonprofit organization. It's called Planetary Citizens. And from what we can tell from their website, it seems to be like the culmination of a lot of his beliefs, a lot of his long-held beliefs.
Okay. Yeah. I'm seeing the words unity, sustainability,
Yeah.
collective responsibility. Definitely sounds like One World, but like taken to a global level.
Exactly. And they're promoting this idea of a solar revolution, which you can probably guess ties back into that whole holistic approach we were talking about before.
So not just solar power, but like some kind of inner transformation too.
Yeah. It seems to be about tapping into both both our individual potential and our interconnectedness as a species. And remember, this is around the same time that terms like conscious consumerism and mindfulness are starting to hit the mainstream.
Right. So he's not just riding the wave. He's been articulating these ideas for years, even decades before they became trendy. But but how does this all translate into action? What are planetary citizens actually doing?
Well, from what I can gather, they're involved in a variety of projects,
Uh-huh.
from promoting sustainable living practices to advocating for social justice to facilitating dialogue between different cultures and belief
So
systems.
it's really about putting that one world philosophy into practice,
Yeah.
but on a global scale. But at the same time, he's still involved with the Independent Party of Arizona, trying to bridge the political divide on a more local level.
And if you look at the timeline, this is right around when political polarization is really starting to ramp up in the United States. So he's not shying away from a challenge, to say the least.
No, no, it's almost like he's trying to tackle these issues of division and disconnection on multiple fronts, like simultaneously, from the personal to the political to the planetary.
Yeah.
But in the midst of all this, he's also relaunching his TV show, One World in a New World, now with this new focus on apocalyptic chats.
And I think that title is deliberately provocative. He's not necessarily predicting doom and gloom,
Mm.
but rather using the idea of apocalypse, which literally means unveiling, to get people thinking about the underlying systems and structures that are shaping our world.
So it's less about the end of the world and more about the end of our old ways of thinking and being.
Precisely. And the guests he's having on the show reflect this shift. We're seeing experts in fields like evolutionary biology, systems thinking, quantum physics. He's really pushing the boundaries of what people might typically consider current events.
It's like he's saying, look, if we want to create a new world, we need to start with a new understanding of ourselves and our place in the cosmos.
Hmm. And that brings us back to the idea of holistic education, which has been a thread throughout his entire career. He's not just trying to inform people, he's trying to transform them.
Right. It's not just about acquiring knowledge. It's about developing the whole person
Hmm.
intellectually, emotionally, spiritually, so they can become active agents of change in their own lives and in the world.
And that, I think, is the key to understanding Zen Benefiel. He's not just a teacher, a consultant, a TV host, or an author. He's a
The
catalyst
catalyst for what? For
right,
what exactly?
for a shift in consciousness, for a more interconnected, sustainable, and just world. He's using all the tools at his disposal,
Hmm.
media, education, entrepreneurship, even politics, to try and nudge humanity in a new direction.
And he's been doing this for decades,
Yeah.
consistently across different fields and platforms. That's what I find so remarkable about his story. It's not about chasing fame or fortune. It's about a deep, unwavering commitment to his vision.
And that vision, as we've seen, is all about bridging divides, empowering individuals, and ultimately creating a world where everyone has the opportunity to thrive.
So what does all this mean for our listener today? They send us this mountain of information about Zen Benefiel, clearly wanting to understand his journey, his impact. What's the key takeaway here?
Yeah, I think the takeaway is that Zen Benefiel he's a living example of what it means to walk the walk. He's not just talking about these big ideas. He's embodying them in everything he does. He's created this remarkably diverse, impactful career, but it's all driven by this consistent set of values, these principles.
And what's so fascinating is that he doesn't fit neatly into any one category. He's a teacher, he's an entrepreneur, he's a media personality, a political activist, an author. He's constantly blurring those lines and defying expectations.
Right, right. He's like this organizational bricklayer, this possible called coagulator. He describes himself as. He takes these seemingly disparate pieces and assembles them into something that's truly unique and powerful. And I think that's a really inspiring message for anyone who's feeling stuck or limited by their current circumstances. Zen Benefiel's story shows us that we don't have to be defined by our job title or our past experiences. We can create our own paths, forge our own connections, make a real difference in the world, no matter what our background is.
It's like he's saying, "Hey, if I can do all this starting from where I started, then you can too." And he's providing us with a roadmap, not in the literal sense,
Yeah.
but in the sense of showing us what's possible when we combine passion, purpose, and a willingness to think outside the box.
And he's not afraid to embrace the unconventional, the spiritual, the things that might make some people uncomfortable. He's constantly challenging our assumptions about what's possible and what's acceptable, especially in fields like education and politics.
Which brings me to a question for you, the listener. You sent us all these sources, clearly intrigued by Zen Benefiel's story. What is it about his journey that resonates most with you? Is it his commitment to holistic education,
Yeah.
his entrepreneurial spirit, his efforts to bridge political divides?
Or maybe it's his willingness to explore the more esoteric side of things. The
Oh, yeah.
topics that mainstream society often shies away from. What lessons can you draw from his multifaceted career? How can you apply his principles of interconnectedness, sustainability, and personal empowerment to your own life and work?
Because that's ultimately what makes this deep dive so valuable. It's not just about learning about Zen Benefiel. It's about using his story as a springboard for your own self-reflection and growth.
He's given us a glimpse into what a life of purpose and impact can look like, but it's up to each of us to decide what that means for ourselves and how we want to shape our own corner of the world.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I encourage you to keep exploring. Check out his website, watch his TV show, read his books, and most importantly, let his story spark your own imagination and inspire you to take action. Who knows? Maybe someday you'll be the subject of a deep dive with a leg that's just as rich and multifaceted as Zen Benefiel's.
And on that note, we'll leave you with one final thought to ponder. If you could have an apocalyptic chat with Zen Benefiel himself, what question would you ask him? What insight would you be most eager to glean from his years of experience and unconventional wisdom? That's something to mull over as you continue your own journey of exploration and discovery. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.